Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I am delighted to welcome a very senior and accomplished human resources tech leader from Zurich, Switzerland, Magdalena Orascanin. Magdalena, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Magdalena is the founder of Magnate HR and MyGulf Talent Solutions, which specialize in transforming HR departments into strategic data-driven powerhouses through cutting-edge AI solutions and expert recruitment servicing. So before we start talking about HR and AI, tell me a little bit about your own journey and what got you interested in human resources.
I'm happy to do that. So basically, Ashutosh, I grew up in Germany and I have studied business psychology, and then I have specialized in, somehow HR, I would say. So I started my journey in recruitment, and then I moved within different HR functions. So in the last 12 years, I have been mainly working in HR, and I moved my way up until HR director. So this is really, I would say, my passion. I have been always working in HR. And 2.5 years ago, as we all know, AI came out. I mean, AI is around for already a long time, but it was so easy for everyone to access it with the start of ChatGPT and everything. And I just got super interested in this topic. And obviously, I don't have a tech background because my background is psychology and HR. But I thought, wow, what if I could combine those two things? What is actually possible here? And how can we transform HR with AI? And my first thought was, because I don't have a technical background, let me take what I already know and let's take my expertise to see how we can actually work with AI in HR. And this was how I started to work in this field.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So my next question is that based on your experience, what are some of the primary challenges HR departments face that AI can help them solve?
There are actually a few where AI can help, but obviously there are also some challenges involved. But let's first take a look at the positive side. So basically HR it's a very, very big function because we are taking care of what is the most important, which is actually the people, right? And the whole workforce within any organization. So it all starts with recruitment. We are moving on to onboarding, talent development, succession planning, talking about performance management, payroll, and everything else that you can imagine that is connected to the people. So there is so much operational work involved in the whole HR practices, and AI can really help to take away some, time for those HR people in those departments to really focus on the people and work a bit more strategic. So if we take, for example, recruitment here, if we are looking into big companies that are having hundreds of applications each day coming up, then I think you would also agree with me how much time it could actually free up if AI would take care of the screening process, for example. So this is something where AI can help. Or again, the onboarding part. When we want to onboard people, usually it's like a repetitive task that come up. You want to get the people familiar with your company policies and also setting up some meetings with other people from the workforce that they have to know. This is also something where AI can help. So they are very much different practices where AI can actually make our lives in HR much easier.
Very interesting. And when you talk to HR leaders about using AI, do you face any kind of misconceptions about AI and HR amongst the HR leaders?
Many, I have to say. There is many misconceptions that we are facing. I think it also depends on the AI literacy. So how much do those people actually know about AI? And I know we always keep on saying AI, which actually doesn't mean anything. It means artificial intelligence, but there is much more to it, right? So We need to talk about, okay, what are we actually addressing? Do we want to use NLP, natural language processing, large language models? Do we want to use automation? What is it that we want to use? But usually my first question is, what is a concrete use case that you want to solve within your company with AI? So I try to lead people somehow to think about, okay, what is it that we concretely want to work on instead of looking at AI as a whole? And then usually they kind of step back and they are a bit afraid because they seem to be so overwhelmed with all that is actually possible. So the biggest misconception is usually, okay, what do we actually want to solve? Is it possible? And is actually AI even the solution to it? Because sometimes it's not AI. Sometimes the solution is something completely different, something human that we actually need to implement. So it really depends on the use case. And then obviously, if we are thinking about things like data governance, data security, in general, diverse data sets. So people tend to forget how important it is to make the whole work up front. We need to take care of our data, and especially in HR, where we are working with sensitive data, because we're taking care of all the personal data of the employees. We're also talking about the salary, social security numbers, etc. All of these things, we need to make sure that this data is actually accurately secured and taken care of. And before we move into using AI for that, we need to clean our data and to make sure that the data is actually up to date.
Yeah.
And that's something that HR leaders also tend to underestimate. Not only HR leaders, I mean businesses in general, but now we are talking HR.
Absolutely. Great response. Thank you. And for a lot of our viewers and listeners, and many of them could be in HR, how can AI be leveraged to improve HR departments and maybe the talent acquisition process?
So, well, I mean, as I said, first of all, let's take a concrete use case that we have. So let's stick to the example that we have discussed just before that I gave.
Mhm.
Let's take a company that has hundreds of applications each day. So let's leverage AI to free up some time so that we can screen those CVs quicker and
Mhm.
give a realistic chance to all the candidates that are applying. Now, some people might say, yeah, but AI is biased. Okay, obviously AI is biased because the data that we put in is the data that we humans have created, and humans are biased.
Mhm.
People also tend to forget that we have a bias ourselves and we also have unconscious bias. So no one is free of bias. That's why it's really important to check this data up front. But after we have done this successfully, and this is not a one-time process, it's an ongoing process that requires regular audits that are taken care of. So now we can really take this AI program, tool, whatever we want, or a custom AI solution that we have created to, for example, screen those CVs based on the requirements that we are looking at for the job. We can reduce the bias. Obviously, we also need to have humans in the loop. So it always requires human oversight. This is not something like a magical tool where we say, okay, let's just lean back and let AI do the job. No, we need to be involved in this process, obviously. But just imagine, Ashutosh, and I think everyone, each of us, all of our listeners, at one stage in our life, every one of us has been a candidate. How frustrating is it when you are looking for a job? You keep on applying, you keep on sending your CVs, you put so much effort and energy into this application to, in the end, either not hear anything from the company, nothing, they just ghost you, or to just get this like super generic email. Thank you for your application. We have found someone who is matching the role better. And I think here we can really leverage AI to make the experience more personal and really tackle, the candidates' fears and everything that they think and give them like a real feedback and really take care of these people, because we also don't want to demoralize them. Even if it's a no for your job application, we still want people to have a good feeling about this particular employer, because maybe tomorrow they will apply again for a job at this company. We are also talking about employer branding here.
Amazing, amazing. Magdalena, when I was reading about you, I was fascinated to read that ethical AI is a key focus for you.
Yes.
For my viewers and listeners, tell us, what does ethical AI mean in the context of HR, and why is it essential? And if possible, give me an example.
Well, so basically, and that's what I always say, ethics, it's something that is important for us as a humanity as a whole. I'm always surprised that people start to talk about ethics so much when it comes to AI, but then I usually say, what about our ethics? What about the
Absolutely.
human ethics?
Yes.
Where have our ethics been before? So ethics is something that is defining our humanity, and each and every individual needs to know what are their own ethics, their own values. And when it comes to AI, we need to take care even more of that. When it comes to HR, as I said, leading with sensitive data, sensitive information, personal information, ethics is even more important. And what does it mean? I mean, ethics basically means that we need to be inclusive, diverse. We need to have diverse voices in AI. We need to have those regular audits that I was talking about in order to make sure that we are actually covering the ethics that we are looking at. And here, I think many people would agree, ethics is something that, depending on the culture, on the mentality, on probably even the company culture, is defined different. So it's very important to have a look at your own ethics, as your company ethics, as at your human ethics, to actually say which direction you want to go.
Hmm. Very interesting. And how can HR leaders ensure that AI solutions promote fairness, transparency, and inclusivity?
Well, this is, as I said, super important. And
Mm.
here we go again, diverse voices. So the most important thing here is it's not a HR topic only. It's not an operations topic only. It's not a finance topic only. It's not an IT topic only. All departments need to be involved in those processes at the same time, all those diverse voices. So if you are developing an AI solution, you want to make sure that you don't have only the view of the HR leader involved, but also from the whole team and from the whole workforce.
Right.
You need to have the board involved. You need to have all the people from the company involved. And you also want to make sure to maybe have people outside the company involved to make sure that these processes are actually fair, transparent, and inclusive. And again, it is maybe a bit illusional to say we will reach 100% of inclusivity, diversity, fairness, and everything. But let's aim for 99%. Let's really aim for the highest possible, and let's try to make it happen. I mean, we are not perfect. We are humans and we are making mistakes. That's perfectly fine. But let's try to learn from it, and let's always be open for feedbacks. That's why audits are important. That's why feedback loops are important. And that's why it's important to also have some external audits going on.
Fascinating. The next question for you is that how can AI-driven recruitment strategies adapt to diverse cultural and regional expectations, especially when you look at global companies?
Yes, absolutely. And I have worked on one of these projects and I have been extremely proud of this project. And it was so fascinating
Mm.
because, as you said, as we said, it's different cultures, different mentalities, and recruitment process are working different from country to country.
Okay.
So there is also a different expectation when it comes from the candidate side. We cannot forget this. It's very, very important to think of, okay, what does the candidate actually expect? As I have said before, in a recruitment process, you are promoting your employer brand.
Mm.
So it's the first contact that you have with the candidate. And looking at global companies, obviously they have those bigger challenges when they're represented in different countries. So it's very important to have those local diverse voices that are included within these strategic processes and that are giving you insights about how does the recruitment process work here. At the same time, it's also good to have someone globally overlooking it to also give insights from other countries and also exchanging best practices. That's what I really like, because we can only strive for this perfection if we are getting the inputs from all around the world, talking about globalization, talking about going international. We are all working with international clients. It's also a matter of respect, I would say, how you approach people, and we cannot forget this, especially in recruitment processes.
Well said. And what role does data analytics play in optimizing recruitment efforts with using AI?
Data analytics plays a crucial role, I would say, and not only within recruitment, but within all HR practices and obviously all business practices, because the data that we have today will give us insights for tomorrow that can help us anticipate. If we are looking at recruitment concretely, we can anticipate recruitment needs if we have the right data sets. For example, we can anticipate what are the roles that might come up based on the business volume that we will achieve in X years. We will probably either need a bigger workforce, we would need more people, or maybe we would need less people, always depending on the project. Maybe some parts will be digitalized, as we're talking about AI right now. And this data analytics will really give us an insight so we can predict what will happen in the future, which will make it easier for businesses to actually run their business. And this is so underestimated. I mean, people are talking about data so much, but what I have seen is that they are not using it in the right way, which is actually a pity because data is the new oil. I have heard this one day and I think it is super accurate. We really need to work more with data.
Amazing. And what steps should organizations take to transition from traditional HR processes to AI powered processes? And of course, one big solution is to call in Magnate HR.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Yes. So basically, the first and the most important part is to upskill your workforce. And if we're looking at the HR department, it's very important to understand where do they stand at the moment? What is their understanding of AI? Do they understand the basics? So talking about training, that's exactly what I do and what we do at Magnate. We are upskilling teams, reskilling them, but really starting to understand what is the current situation. Because in some companies, you might have teams that are already beyond the basics and they already have some kind of AI literacy. So let's not start with, basic prompts, but let's already jump into something that interests them. It's very important to have an open communication with your team and to really see, okay, where do they need to be upskilled? At the same time, it's very, very important not only to look at the training, but to look at their concerns. Listen to your team, listen to your HR department, because they are the ones that understand people, processes, and policies in the best way. That's their core job. That's what they do all day long. And they are so connected with the people from the whole workforce. Talk to them, listen to them, understand their concerns. There are many people out there that are fearing actually that they might lose their job. And we all know that this might actually happen. It's very important to keep an open communication with the team and to address those concerns. Because if you are not addressing those concerns, those people will just block and they will not even be open to receiving those type of trainings that you want to give them. But then on the other side, how can you make sure that this like AI revolution within your company will be successful if you don't have your people on board?
Very well said. But the other amazing discussion I've had with many HR leaders is, and some of them are the older ones, say that will AI take away the human touch that is necessary to manage a company's biggest assets, which are its people? I'd love to get your perspective.
There we are coming back to the values. And that's what I have said before. It really depends on the company values. So there might be companies out there that are saying, okay, we will just completely automate the HR department. And maybe out of 10 people, we just let one person in there that will just a little bit overlook what is actually going on, which means that the human touch is almost taken away. But there will be other companies that will say, no, the human touch is actually very important for us. So it really depends on the values and again on the ethics and what this company actually expects and how they work. It really, really depends. I think it's not a question that we can answer in general, but this is a question that every HR person has to ask themselves. In what type of company do I want to work in? What is the type of company where my values actually align with the company values? And how can I make sure that the human touch is not gone from my position?
Right.
So not blocking completely will definitely help, because you need to have some kind of AI literacy for the future, and that's for sure. But then on the other side, think about what is actually the added value that the human touch that I'm bringing will bring for the company, and also present this. It's always important to communicate.
Well said. Time for two more questions. What factors should organizations consider to ensure their AI strategy aligns with their business goals?
Well, again, it's very, very individual and it depends. But first of all, I would say make sure and understand where do you want to go, and look at the use cases that you want to solve. So do not jump onto AI as a whole, but really look at what do you want to solve with AI, and can it be solved with AI, and what will it actually bring for you and your company, and at the same time for your workforce. And the second most important is get the right training. Because really, if you want to succeed within this whole AI revolution and AI adoption that you want to make within the company, either you are hiring someone, and I have seen this trend as well. There are many companies hiring chief AI officers, for example, that are taking care internally within the company. But if you don't want to hire or don't have the possibility to hire someone within the company, then take on external support. It's not something where you should go through alone, but really make sure that you have some kind of support there.
Amazing. And my last question to you, Magdalena, and you have spent so many years understanding and using AI, and you've got so much experience in the field of HR. As you look into your own crystal ball, how do you see AI evolving in the field of human resources in the next few years?
Well, I mean, I have seen already so much involvement, and I am so excited about the future. And what I think, especially after the last 12 months, is that it's going much faster than we expected, than I expected also. I was not expecting that it's going to evolve that fast.
Yeah.
We can see many companies already taking on AI for improving their recruitment processes. We are seeing many companies taking AI for performance management, for onboarding, and for succession planning, taking these like data analytics that we have talked to make predictive, like for the future, predictive analysis. And it's moving very, very fast. And I would really say to companies, jump on it now, because now is really the time to take care of where are we moving with our AI adoption. We are already in 2025, and we have seen this. I mean, 2024, it was just like this. So it's going to be exactly the same with this year. There is no time to wait. And really, again, take on concrete use cases that you want to solve. Take a step back and look at your own ethics, at your own values, and make sure that you understand where you want to go.
What a great response. And on that note, Magdalena, thank you so much for speaking to me about your own amazing journey. I think we covered a lot of very, very fascinating subjects in the field of artificial intelligence and human resources. You talked about the primary challenges for HR department when it comes to HR. You told us about the misconceptions that HR departments have when you speak to them about AI. You also spoke about how talent acquisition can become much, much more effective using AI. And then we spoke about ethical AI, which you so clearly said it's not just ethical is not just AI, but it's for us as human beings across every possible function. We spoke about transition from traditional HR processes to HI. We spoke about automation. We spoke about so many other aspects of HI or HR and AI. And finally, thank you for giving me the perspective of what you think is going to happen in the next few years. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, and thanks for everyone listening. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope to speak to you very soon. Take care and have a wonderful year ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the brand called You Videocast and Podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.